Okay, I wanted to just go over the title block assignment that we're doing in our labs, and I know some people were having some issues with uh, the text showing up, so I wanted to go over that again in case you wanted to just redo it on your own to see if we can get this to work correctly. Most people did, but a few people weren't quite getting there. So we'll start by bringing up this P100. We're going to do a file, save as. We're going to call it, you're going to create a folder. Your folder would be whatever you wanted to call it. We're going to have two subfolders under that, assignments and images. I'll just put this under assignments, and I'm just going to call it title block. And you'll notice up here at the top it changed to title block. Down here at the bottom, let's just make sure we have, I'm going to show my line weights and our object snaps. Make sure you have endpoints, midpoints, center, intersection, perpendicular, and tangent. So make sure you have those checked off. Don't have nearest. I just ran into an issue with that. So I had it on and I forgot I left it on, so it gave me some problems. So just click outside. I'm going to go to my layer properties. I'm going to rename P100 to title block. And we'll just work in white. I'll put it at 0.30 millimeters just so you can see it. If I double click, it makes title block my active level. And I'm going to go ahead, left click, drag through it, and delete. So we're starting out from scratch here. We basically just have an empty drawing file. We're going to start with a rectangle. And just to make sure, go to the application, drawing utilities, units. We are working in decimal. We'll change this to 2 decimal places. International just means we're working in inches. If it was down in, if this was a metric, we might see millimeters. But in this case, our insertion scale wants to always stay at inches. So start with a rectangle, polygon. We're going to hit our first point at 0, 0, so just type in 0, 0, enter. That puts us at the base of the XY coordinates. We're going to type in 11, 8.5, the size of a letter size sheet of paper. Double click my wheel. Some of you with Macs, you may want to just look over here on the side. There's our zoom extents. You can also use other zoom features down here, zoom window, previous dynamic. So maybe with the dynamic scale, I don't know how that works, but obviously I don't want to know how it works, but I'll just zoom extents. There. So we're going to do a offset and specify the distance. I'm just going to hit enter first because it's going all the way through. Always look down at your command. And our distance for 3/8 of an inch will be 0.375. That's our border on the inside. So the outside is our sheet of paper. The inside is the border that will show up on the printed drawing. Now I'm going to zoom in on this bottom corner. We're going to go to our line tool. I'm going to let it settle right here. Pull it straight up, 1.25. Sets a point at 1.25. We're going over a distance of 4.25. And then back down. I don't have to key in a distance. It'll just find a perpendicular O-snap right there. Hit escape. I don't have to hit the line tool again. I can just hit the enter key. Start up here. We're going to come back 1.25 and go straight down perpendicular again. Hit escape. This is where our logo is going to go. Then we're going to go back over here. We're going to stop right at that point. Go down 0.5 inches and left click, bring it over perpendicular, hit escape. Now we're going to type CO for copy, select the object, hit enter, and we're going to move it down 0.25, and we're going to move it down again. Actually, just it's going from the same point, so this time it'll be 0.5. So we have 3 spaces there that are 1/4 inch apart. We'll select our line tool again, starting right at this point, move it to the left, 0.5, and go straight down, lock it in there. A couple ways we want to shorten this line to this intersection. So if I select this line, I can just bring it back to that point. If I do a Control Z, another way to do that is just type TR, enter, I hit enter again to select all, and then you can just left click on this. It'll trim it back to its first intersection. Okay? Alright, so now we've got our title block set up. I'm going to change my color now to this cyan color. You want to select colors off this bottom row to identify our pen widths and tables. We'll use our index colors rather than this multiple colors up here. So we're going to use cyan. I'm going to change my line style back to the 0. And we're going to put some text in here now, just regular single line text. So we're going to set that up first. We're going to create 3 different types of text sizes. Drop this annotation tab down. We're going to look at our text tool right here, text style. And we're going to create a new one. And it's going to be called 0.2 text. Hit OK. I'm using a Lucinda Sans Unicode font, which is kind of dark and it gives you a nice look on the drawings. 0.2 is the height, which is fine. The width will just be 1, so it doesn't have to be a narrow, and just say that works. We're going to say new, and this one's going to be 0.1 text. Hit OK. The size of this text will be 0.1. Let's hit apply. And then we're going to create one more that is 0.07 text. This is the actual height of the text, would be 7/100 or 7/10 of an inch, or 0.07 of an inch. Hit OK, and we change this height to 0.07. And whoops, or 0.07. That should work. I don't think I should have to put 0.07. Why is that not working? Oh, 0.08 doesn't work. Let me just do that again. Well, I went that time without the annotative. I don't use that, so should be 0.07. Let's see if it'll keep it in there for us. So now we're going to create some text. I'm just going to use single line text. And I'm just going to left click anywhere here on the screen and hit enter. And I'm going to type in scale. Okay, I can select this and move it down. So I'm going to put my scale right here. Wants to snap to that point. If it tries to snap to a point, just hit your function F3, and then you can just kind of eyeball where it needs to go. I forgot one line. I'm going to take this line, hit CO, enter, my base point. Oh, got to hit function F3 now. Put it back in. I'm going to find that center point right there. Good. So now I can select this, type CO, bring that one down here, Bring one up here. Bring one over here. And one up here. And one right here. Okay, so now I'm going to edit these. If I just double click it, I can call this one date. This one will be checked by, just some initials, drawn by. Now this one I want to right click, go to properties, and I want to make sure this one is not left justified but middle center justified. Yep, you notice how it moved it to the side, so now we can move it over here. If I double click it now, it's going to be sheet number, and this one will be location. Okay, that's our fixed text. Now we're going to talk about attribute text or attribute definitions. Attribute definitions will stay with the file and they become editable. So these are all fixed texts that we just put in here. Now we're going to put in our variable text. So just type in ATTDEF, and we're going to put in a tag here that is going to be date. The prompt, this is what is it going to prompt me for, the date, question mark. My default, I'll just put 1-27-15. It's going to be, let's go with left justified 07 text, and we'll just say OK. And we're going to change our color to green. So I'm not sure if this will take or not, but date goes right there. See how it changed to green. Now we're going to type in ATTDEF again. This one is going to be scale. And SCALE, question mark. Make sure you can't put any spaces in the tag. And we'll just put full scale to start with. And we're going to place that right here. And we're going to say drawn by. So ATTDEF, enter. Drawn by, question mark. Default, I'm going to put my name there. Hit OK. It may not fit. If you need a little more space here, we can edit this one so it don't know how to abbreviate. That's not enough. Say DRN by. I can move this one over a little closer. Check by will just be some initials, so ATTDEF. Again, this will be checked by, no space, by question mark, and I'll just put CJ. Location, this one will put in at 0.1 text, so I'm going to go to, I'll stay with green, ATTDEF. This time my text size will be 0.1. This is going to be center justified, middle center. We're going to say location, location, question mark, and I'll just type Bangor, Maine, say OK. Now, even though it's on the left side of my cursor, I'm going to move my compass, the cross or the target, right to the center point of the block and just left click. And you'll see how it moved my text into that center because it's middle center justified. Now we're going to put in our sheet number, so ATTDEF. This will be sheet, number, sheet number, question mark. Default will be 100. Hit OK. And hopefully that's Was that center? Oh, shoot. Go to properties, just make sure it's center justified. Middle center, there we go. And don't worry that it bleeds outside, it's not going to matter. The last one we're going to put in, we're going to do in yellow. So this one will be ATTDEF. This will be the title. And we'll say my project. This will be center justified, middle center, and this will be point to text. Hit OK. And again, don't worry about where the text is. Just try to eyeball the center, and it'll place that title right there. We can take this one and hit copy and just move that up. And then double click this, and it's going to be called copy title. The final thing we're going to do before we finish this up is put our logo in here. In my case, I'm just going to attach a photograph. You can do a selfie, whatever you want. Your pet, your boyfriend, girlfriend. So I'm going to go to Insert and say Attach. There's some images. There's the image that I used. Hit Open. I'm just going to say OK. Good looking family. Even though it's real large, just left click on the bottom corner. You'll see how it expands. So if I zoom in, I can just pull this up until it kind of touches that top piece. So that puts my logo onto the sheet. Okay. So before I do anything else, I'm going to take this entire piece, select it, and make a copy of it. CO, enter, and just move it down here. That way I don't lose anything later on, you know. So the next thing we'll do then is create a block or a cell out of this title block. So I'm going to select the whole thing again, go back to my home page or home tab. And right up here is blocks. We're going to create a block. I'm going to call this one title block letter. And everything else should be fine. And just say OK. Gives me my edit attributes. There's all my attributes that we created. I'm just going to say OK. I don't want to change them just yet. Now let's go to Layout 1. This tab down at the bottom says Layout 1. Let's click on that. There's my title block from my drawing, and it's in what's called a viewport. If you're in this paper mode, if you're in model, you can't select it. But if you're in paper, just click on that and it changes from model to paper. In the paper mode, we can select this and delete it. Okay, so what we're looking at again is a piece of paper. The border indicates the limit of the printability of this paper. So what we're going to do now is insert back over in this block. We're going to insert our title block. And there it is on the end of my cursor. Bring it down. I can zoom in, find the corner of that paper, and just say OK. All right. There's my title block. So watch what happens if I double click on this title. There's all my information. So I can, if I want to change my project name to First Project, and I want to change the sheet number to A01. The location will be Orono, checked by, and I'll just leave that the way it is, and the scale will be, say I want a half scale drawing. My date will be today, and just hit apply and OK. All of those things will update here on the screen. Okay? So the other thing we want to do is come down here, and I can right click on this and say rename it. We're going to call it Title Block LTR for letter. And we can put a, now, just to show you how this works, if I go to Layout, I can put in a viewport now that's a polygon, so it'll fit around the outside of that piece. So I'll just snap to these points around the outside. And if I just hit my down arrow, I can say close it. And you'll see what happens is it brings up my two pieces. If I go to my model, I can actually pull those off the screen, or I can pull them back in, or you can zoom in on them. But that's not actually our piece, so that eventually will disappear anyway, so I'll just leave them there for now. Go back to model, and we can zoom in and out. We're going to set up some pen tables with this next week during our lab, so I don't need to go through that right now. But I will go back to my model now, and let's take, because what happens now, this becomes a cell. It's all one piece. If I want to manipulate this, I can say explode. Now, I want to, I won't quite delete that one yet, but I can take this block, and that's was 11 before. Let me move this to 11 plus 6 is 17. And 8.5 plus 2.5 should give us 11 by 17. So if I measure that, see if my math was right, 11, yep, and enter from this point to this point is 17. Okay, good. So now I can actually delete this one. I can take my offset, enter, and come in 0.375. Okay. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it back over to 0, 0. I'll just say 0, 0. Oops. It didn't work. Move. And then 0, 0. Add. There, moved it by hand anyway. Okay. So now, if I got a title block letter over here, let's go over to this one. There's another layout. There's my title block. If I just go to Page Setup Manager and we'll say Modify. This time, instead of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, I want an ANSI B 11 by 17. And we'll leave that at none for now and just say OK and close. Now you'll see I've got an 11 by 17 sheet of paper. If I right click and say rename, this one will be block 11 by 17. Looks like this borders a little more, so maybe I should bring this in an inch on either side. Let me just measure this distance from here to here is 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to go back to my model. I'm going to grab this, pull this in 0.5. And pull this one in 0.5. Grab, whoops. Beautiful. Now what we're going to do is select this entire thing. We're going to create another title block. This one's going to be called by 17. We'll say OK. There's all my attributes again. Just say OK. Come back to my title block 11 by 17. And we'll just insert. Now you see we have both of them. That's the one I want. I'm going to come down to my corner of my paper and just kind of line that up as best you can. Hit OK. And there's our title block for this one. Again, it still has a viewport here. And what we'll do is within the paper side, I want to take that viewport out and put in a new one. So we go to Layout, Polygon, yep. And we're just going to snap to the inside corners of our title block to create that viewport space. And I can go down and close. If I go to model, I can zoom out on that. So there's my viewport, no scale. If I double click on this, oops, in paper space, there we go. And we can change this. This one now is going to be or no. And title will be 2 projects. Sheet number will be 300. We'll just say OK. So that changed. If I go back to my letter title block, that one still has the original information on it. And we can go back to our model. If I take this whole thing now and delete it, I still have my title blocks on my sheets of paper here. Okay, so it's a little more than we did in the lab. We'll finish this up next time, but if you need some practice and you want to just redo yours to make sure it works and that you can click on these, and if I double click on that, it should bring up these enhanced attribute editor. And mine seems to work. You can actually change the text options on the fly if you want to, and the properties. All right, so that'll do it for the title block. I'll get this loaded up and have it after Wednesday so that if you have some issues with your title block, you can kind of redo it based on this video. And again, I won't do it for every lab that we do, but I did notice a few people were having some issues, so I wanted to make sure you had the opportunity to kind of go through this one more time with some added items in the mix. And that is it.